Hi there. Welcome to my bus. Let me show you around and tell you what you need to know to be safe around railroad tracks. Always know all your bus exits. The front door is one, but you should also consider the back, the roof, and any of your window exits. If you need to evacuate your bus, please follow your evacuation protocols. A typical school bus is 45 feet long. It is important to remember the length of your bus to have proper clearance. Overhangs are always important to remember when deciding where to stop at railroad crossings in what we call the containment zone. Remember that you want your containment zone to be 15 feet from either side of the tracks. So make sure you consider your overhangs when measuring out that space. If you're crossing multiple tracks and feel like you can't fully clear them all, don't go. When tracks cross the road at an angle, ensure your bus clears the track on both sides. If you don't fit, don't commit. Imagine for a moment you're approaching some tracks. You've spotted the advanced warning sign and know that a railroad crossing is ahead. You begin to slow down as you approach the railroad crossing. What should be going through your mind? First, you'll get ready to stop. Activate the hazard lights as you slow down and alert students that you are approaching tracks and they need to be quiet as you listen for trains. Silence any fans, air conditioners, heaters, or radios, and then open your driver's side window. When the bus is completely stopped, observe your surroundings before opening your service doors if your district or state law requires it. Check to your left, your right, and then your left and right again. Before you go, it's extremely important to look and listen for any oncoming trains. Check left, right, and left, right again. If your view is any way obstructed, it helps to rock and roll back and forth. If it's all clear, you're ready to proceed. Keep your window open, hazard lights on, and environment quiet. When you do cross, avoid shifting gears and never stop on the tracks. Once you start crossing, don't stop. If you do come to a stop on the tracks for some reason and can't move again, follow your safety protocols. Evacuate everyone immediately. It's always a good plan to prepare for an emergency, just in case. Preparedness is key. Have an evacuation plan in a designated safe area for your kids. Once everyone is safely off the bus and safely away from the tracks, call the number on the blue and white ENS sign and let them know you need help. If no ENS sign, call 911. Now we'll hear from some of my colleagues who'll share some of their safety tips and tricks picked up from years on the road.
Being a school bus driver is a tremendous responsibility. You're carrying a lot of school-age kids, and I try to treat them as my own. I know I'm responsible for their safety, and getting them to school, getting to home is what drives me every day. Their safety, they are precious cargo, and that's most important to me.
My name is Cindy, and I've been driving a school bus for 34 years.
My name is Alan. I've been driving a school bus for 7 years.
My name is Samantha, and I have been a school bus driver for 4 years.
I always do a pre-trip inspection, which means all my lights are functioning, my four-ways are working, I know where all my railroad crossings are, and I'm prepared for that.
I open the hood, make sure that there's no weird sounds or anything, make sure all of my lights are working, my amber lights, my stop sign, my headlights, turn signals, reverse, make sure everyone knows what the bus is doing when it's doing it. When I see an advanced warning sign, I know to put my hazard lights on because we're coming up to a railroad crossing and we're gonna have to come to a complete stop and open the doors, open the window, listen for trains.
I automatically put on my four-way flashers because that tells all the traffic behind me that the bus is preparing to stop. When there are no lights or gates at a railroad crossing, there's usually a long mark on the road. As I am approaching that mark, I have my four-ways on, and I open side window, door window, and I start listening.
I always look both ways and look on the other side of the railroad crossing in case there's traffic backed up. Because if there's traffic backed up and I can't safely get my bus out of the whole crossing zone, I will not cross. Well, sight lines, as I'm approaching a railroad crossing, there's all different angles. So I'm trying to look up and down the track, looking for the signage on the road, see if there's a gate that'll come down. Some of the crossings don't have gates, so you really got to be careful at those as well. And then as you approach, again, look up and down the tracks.
When I know I'm completely across the railroad track and clear, I look into my mirrors on each side and pay attention to the rear of the bus to make sure I'm completely clear from the track and away from it before I ever shut my side window or turn my four-ways off.
I know that my bus is out of the containment zone when I cross the tracks and then look in my side mirrors, and I can see behind me to see that we've clearly gone over the tracks and we're in the clear.
If my bus stalled on the tracks, I would automatically put the bus in park. I would evacuate every child on that bus and get them as far away from that track as possible.
An ENS sign gives the crossing number and a phone number to call if you've got a problem with the crossing. If I stall on a railroad track, I'm going to evacuate my bus and then notify on that ENS crossing sign that I have a stalled bus at that crossing. Well, for railroad crossings with smaller kids, and I'm talking about pre-K to kindergartners, try to make a little game out of it. Say, hey guys, we're approaching a railroad crossing. We need to help me look and listen. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they're in their own little world. They don't pay attention. Instead of yelling because I'm trying to pay attention to coming up to the railroad crossing, it's easier to do my hand and hit the button on the side that cancels all the noise on the bus, and then they know what's coming.
I try to make sure that the younger kids know they need to stay, all of the kids need to stay in their seat at all times. They need to not throw things out the window, stick their arms out the window, and the older kids need to keep the volume level down to set the example for the younger kids.
If I'm doing a route that I don't normally do, a special route like an activity run or an athletic run, I'll review the route where I've got to go to see if there's any railroad crossings so I can be prepared when I get there.
I prepare for field trips and other events by checking over the route before, making sure that I know where we're going.
Helpful tips for new drivers just starting out would be to know where the railroad crossings are on their route. And then develop a routine and try to repeat that routine every day. You know, when you come up to the railroad crossing, hit your active noise, put your flashers on, open your window, maybe even tap your brakes as you're approaching the railroad crossing to let cars know behind you what you're going to do. Pull up the railroad crossing, brake on, open your doors. Be sure to look and listen each way about 2 times, then proceed across the railroad crossing after closing your doors and turning your flashers off.
Just make sure that they're aware of what your safety protocol is so that they're not taking advantage of you and you don't feel like you have to be the bad guy all the time.
Know where your crossings are. Have a routine, follow that routine religiously, and that way you will keep your students on board safe.
My approach to the responsibility of all the children on the bus, I feel like every one of those 46 children that ride my bus are my own child. So I look after them the same way I would my children. I'm the first person they see in the morning and the last person they see when they get off the bus. That sets their tone for their day at school. The only thing I would say is, me personally, you're taking on a huge responsibility when you crawl behind the wheel of a school bus. Just remember and think safety at all times, that those are your children on the bus. It's like driving your own car. You're responsible for them.
Remember, you are our biggest safety asset. We're counting on you to get our kids where they need to go safely.